Hello, I'm Berna Meral. Today we'll be talking about reported speech. Be careful, this is part 1, so please make sure that you watched part 1. I'm sorry, this is part 2, so please make sure that you watched part 1 before you come to our class. We'll be concentrating on 2 things today. The first one is reporting imperatives, and the second one is reporting questions. In our first video, we talked about reporting positive and negative sentences. Look at our stickman. He says, "Come here." So, let's remember why we use imperatives. The imperative is used to give commands and orders. Cross the road and turn right. Open it. Stay here and wait for me. And when we make negative imperative, we say, "Don't be late. Don't park here." So technically we are talking to the other person who is with us. Here are some uses of the imperatives. To give an order, go away, stop that, keep quiet. We use it to give advice or warnings. Don't forget your passport. Look at our stickman. There is thin ice, so we say, "Don't go on the ice," as a warning. We use it to make suggestions. Take the test next year instead. So instead of having the test this year, he suggests having the exam next year. We also use it to give instructions. Apply the glue and leave it for 5 minutes. Take 1 pill every 8 hours. We also use it to make a request. You know, sometimes teachers do it. We ask things from you, and here's an example. "Please bring me my notebook." We also use it to make an offer or an invitation. "Come round and see me sometime," or "Have some coffee." Now we remember what imperatives are, and let's learn how we report imperatives. We have a beautiful teacher here, and she says, "Everybody please stand up." Look at our sentence. The teacher asked the class to stand up. This is the important thing here. So when we are reporting a positive imperative, we use to. Don't chew gum in class. That's a negative one, right? So again, be careful. To is the same, but instead of don't, we use not. Alright? So we say, the teacher told us not to chew gum in class. In part 1, we concentrated on say and tell, as you may remember. Of course, these are not the only reporting verbs. We have some others, such as command, forbid, instruct, order, request, warn, advise, want. If you don't know some of these words, you can look them up. The doctor advised me to sleep more. Be careful. My boss orders me to work harder. She instructed them to learn the alphabet. The general commanded his soldiers to obey. The sign forbade them to enter. It means you're not allowed to enter. How do we report questions? We are doing it in 2 ways because, as you know, we have yes/no questions and we have WH questions. Look at the first sentence. She said, "Are you cold?" Be careful, when we're reporting yes/no questions, we use if. She asked me if I was cold. Look at the second example. It's a WH question. He said, "Where's my pen?" He asked where his pen was. I'm going to give you the details in a couple of minutes, but when we make yes/no questions, you can use if or whether, And when we use WH questions, you have to make sure that you keep the WH word. As with reported statements, we may need to change pronouns and tense, and that is called backshift, as you may remember from part 1, as well as time and place in reported questions. But this is the most important thing. We also need to change the word order. After we report a question, it is no longer a question. That's the most important thing we need to pay attention while we are reporting questions. Let's remember this chart. It is also important while we're reporting questions. I'm not going to repeat the whole table one more time. You might remember it, but if you might remember, we talked about back shift, right? And when we say I am exhausted, how do we report it? We say he was exhausted. So we go 1 tense back in time. All right? This is the important thing. Will becomes would, must becomes had to, or just like have to also becomes had to, can becomes could, may becomes might, should remains the same, just like could and might. Also, present continuous tense becomes past continuous, or past tense and present perfect tense, they become past perfect. You might remember this. This is our last page, so we'll be doing some exercises. Do you want to dance? All right, what kind of a question is it? Yes, these are all yes-no questions. So, do you want to dance? If I make this a positive sentence, how do I answer it? I would say, yes, I want to dance, okay? Just keep this. We won't be using it because we don't know the answer yet. I want to dance. This is in present simple, right? And present simple becomes past simple, all right? But we said it is not going to be in question form again. So he asked me if I wanted to dance. Let's look at the second one. Has John arrived? He asked me if John, what tense is it? This is present perfect tense. And as you may remember, present perfect tense becomes past perfect. But it's not a question anymore, as you may remember. So we're going to say, if John had arrived. Did you do your homework? Pay attention. Because you know, when we are answering a question which is asked in past tense, then we don't need to use did anymore, right? Did you do your homework? Let's say, yes, I did my homework. So this comes from my word do. Do my homework, right? All right, so I'm going to report it like this. She asked me if I'm sorry, it's not did anymore because this has to be past perfect, right? So, had done, all right? She asked me if I had done my homework. Look at the other one. Can I help you? Yes, you can. She asked me, can becomes could, remember. She asked me if she, why she? Because it's the person who is asking the question, right? She asked me if she could help me. She is the one who wants to help me. Will you have dinner with Jack? He asked me if I will becomes would. If I would have dinner with Jack. All right? Are you at home? Yes, I am at home. So he asked me if how do I change it? How do I convert it? I say, if I was at home. Do I have to wear a school uniform? Do you remember how we change have to? It becomes had to. So we say, he asked me if I had to wear a school uniform. Alright, we have finished with yes/no questions. And now it is time to concentrate on WH questions. Alright? So here we kept if with all of them. Alright? But in this one, we're going to keep the WH word. Okay? These are already written. Look at the first one. When did you come? He asked me, what tense is it? If it were an affirmative sentence, what would I say? When did you come? I came last night. Right? We said it's not going to be a question anymore. So that's a positive sentence, right? And past tense becomes past perfect. So we're going to say, I had come last night. Let's have a look at this then. When did you come? He asked me when I had come. Where does she park her car? Well, she parks her car in the garage. Right? That might be the answer to this question. But of course, instead of using present simple, what do we use? We use past tense. So the answer is going to be in past tense. She asked me where does she park her car? I'm sorry, the person is she. So she asked me where she parked her car. All right? Look at the other one. What are you doing? He asked me what I was doing. Remember, present continuous becomes past continuous, and it's not a question anymore, so that's how we do it. What will you bring to the party? Do you remember will? Will becomes would. He asked me what I would bring to the party. Should. We talked about should and we said that should remains the same. So I really don't need to change the tense of the sentence, but I'm going to change the word order. She asked me why she should stay in bed. How often do you meet your friends? She asked me how often well, this is in present simple, so present simple becomes past tense. So I'm going to use verb to. How often I met my friends. Who do you want to see or who wants to come? We have two types of questions here. Look at the seventh one. The answer to this question could be I want to see Eric. Right? What is important here? Eric is the object of the sentence, so that's an object question. All right? Who do you want to see? He asked me who I wanted to see. All right? I wanted to see Eric. The second one is an object question. Who wants to come? Well, I want to come. So this is the answer of this question, right? And this is the subject of the sentence. So that's a subject question. When we have a subject question, there's nothing to change. So it has to remain the same. We just need to use backshift. Who wants to come? He asked me who wanted to come. I hope the difference between two sentences are clear, but if you have any questions, you can make comments and I will answer them. Thank you for joining our lesson today. Hope to see you next time. Bye-bye.